Hello, I'm Andy Cocktaildress from Co-op Culture. Welcome to this short instructional video for co-ops, community businesses, and their development workers. This series of videos, we will be examining different key financial performance indicators. And this particular video is the first of two looking at the gross profit margin, what it is and why it is important. So, what is the gross profit margin? The gross profit margin is one of the key elements and one of the key financial performance indicators available to us when we're examining the profitability of a business. What it does is it shows us how efficient that business is at creating value, creating surplus or profit through sales. And when we talk about surplus or profit in that statement, what we're specifically talking about is gross profit. So the profit that you generate from your sales after you subtracted from that turnover, from the money that you get from those sales, the cost of making those sales. In this, we are not actually including our overheads or our fixed costs. We will subtract those later from our gross profit. So what we're actually just looking at is how good are we at generating a surplus through selling our products or our services. This is a really important measure because it's one of the ways that we know what it is we should be focusing on in terms of our business model. So if we have a high gross profit margin, then increasing our turnover has a bigger effect on our profit. So if we are efficient at generating a profit or generating a gross profit through our sales, then increasing our sales has a big effect on our gross profit. So we should therefore be focusing on trying to increase our turnover. If our gross profit margin is low, so we're not as efficient at generating surplus through sales, then increasing our turnover has a minimal effect on our profit. So focusing on small increases in turnover isn't what we should be doing. It's also really useful because you can compare within your business or the businesses that you are supporting against their previous figures over time, and look at trends and analyze what's been happening to that particular business's gross profit margin. And as well as comparing with that business, you can also compare with sector and industry standards. These you'll learn as you spend more time supporting many different businesses. Or if you're in a business, or if you're specializing in a particular sector, then you should know your own sectors or industry standards. But for example, cooperative bakeries, the standard that we're aiming for is around 80% gross profit margin. Conversely, a whole food shop, we're looking at more like 30 to 40, around 35%. A wet-driven pub, looking at around 50%. And each of these sector or industries have their own standards, and you want to be in that ballpark. You can find that information out on the internet. How do we calculate our gross profit margin? Well, we calculate our gross profit margin by first of all calculating our gross profit, which is our turnover, how much we get from selling things, less the cost of making those sales. So if you take your cost of sales away from your turnover, you get your gross profit. We divide that by our turnover. So it's the ratio between our gross profit and our turnover that's important. And we then times that by 100 to turn it into a percentage, because otherwise we'll be saying things like a cooperative bakery has a 0.8 gross profit margin, which lots of people find difficult to understand. So if you times it by 100, then you get 80%. So that's how you calculate your gross profit margin. As you can see, there are actually only two variables in this formula, which is the turnover and the cost of sales. And the turnover appears twice above and below the divising line. What that means is that actually the gross profit margin is limited in what it can tell us, which is in itself a good thing, because then problems with the profit margin we know what areas of our business we should be looking at, because it can only tell us about a small number of things. It can't tell us about our overheads. That's not in there. It can't tell us about the volume of sales, because the gross profit margin will be the same no matter what the volume of sales is. What it can tell us about, and what it does tell us about, is the relationship between the volume of the sales and the cost of making those sales. So it tells us about our pricing policy. It can tell us about our purchasing policy. How much did it cost us to buy the things that we're selling? It can tell us about our efficiencies. So are there any wastages? In some sectors, in some industries, wastage has a very particular meaning. The bit of beer at the bottom of the barrel that you can't sell, the bit of beer in the drip trays that that you throw away at the end of the night, the food that goes off in a restaurant. But in general terms, it just means anything that you cannot turn, any cost related to sales that you can't actually turn into sales. So the examples that we just talked about, but also, again, we've had some theft. Our fridges have shut down, so we've had to throw away all our chilled products. The stock rotation didn't work in a shop, so we've had to throw food away. All those elements, and that is what the gross profit margin can show us. In the next video, we will be examining how to look at gross profit margin trends and extract information from that. So I hope you join me for the next video. If you have any comments about this video, please leave them in the comment section below. If you like this video, please click the like button. And if you want some more short instructional videos, please click the subscribe button. Thank you all for watching.